What's up, my family? It's Kiahonfire and welcome back to Valheim. Today I'm showing you one of my new bases that I've started making, and this is my Hobbit hole, or a PvP base if you like, because it's pretty hidden. It's a sneaky hidden base that it will take a very specific eye to find it, kind of thing. So the idea with this is, if you want to make it blend into nature a little bit more, you need to find a nice kind of big rock, and then you're going to have to start carving out underneath of it and a little bit above it, but you can't do too much above, otherwise it will crack a hole in the rock and that will totally ruin the base. So yeah, so here I have been carving away into the rock face. I do want one hole in the rock to allow gas to pass through of the fire, because of course we want this to be a full-blown base. We want, I don't know, T7 forges in it. We want, the maximum workshops, all of that good stuff. You want room for comfort, beds, you name it. That's what we're putting in this space today. So all I'm doing here is just digging at the inside and giving myself enough space to live around in. If you do kind of copy what I'm doing, but you do smash a hole in your rock, well, you could bring the land up on that piece if you like, and fill the hole back up, although it won't be as good as it would have been if that hole wasn't burst, but it is a fix, and then you can use the hoe to kind of like smoothen it out a bit. That would be my suggestion anyway. It might get rid of some of your room though, is the only thing. So now I've got an appropriate space. I'm now placing wooden floor in the inside, and I'm going to put this at a level where I have enough headroom, but I also have enough floorboard room to put all the floorboards down. I'm also going to give the floorboards some support down here, because technically they're kind of floating in the middle otherwise. So I'm putting all this floorboard down, and then I'm gonna make sure I got some walls to clog up the holes and all of that good stuff as well. I'm even going to place a couple of bits for the fireplace so it can stand on some stone foundation. You could use stone foundation in here as well if you like, but I think it's a little bit more difficult to kind of have the floor at the correct level that way, because it doesn't exactly float like a wooden foundation would. So now I got a spot for the hearth. You could use a bonfire if you wanted to, and that way you wouldn't have to like patch a piece of roof over the hole. But I'm going to use a hearth because I always like it, because you can place like your cauldron on it and everything like that, and it looks a lot nicer, I think, especially in this kind of base or a house, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I'm also going to draw up a chimney as well, so the smoke will go out of that hole and not into my base, because it's a cramped base. So if the smoke went in my base, then that would be really bad, because it would slowly clog up and then just I wouldn't be able to breathe. So to actually put this chimney in, I did have to put some temporary ceiling down to actually climb up to get it to go as high as I needed. It was a little bit of a struggle sometimes trying to put the ceiling where I wanted it to go, but eventually we got there, and I was also able to do the horizontal line of the chimney as well to kind of clog that up. And then if you wanted to do it any higher, you can go from the top and stick in some small wooden walls, half walls, and that would clog up some of the holes in the top. But for now, we're just doing the bottom bit. I'm going to finish up on this. I'm going to give it a little fireplace look as well. That's aesthetics, really. You don't need it per se. So if you wanted to save more room, then by all means you could do that as well if you want to build this base. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to have some of this. It would look nice. Why not? That, and I can hang some banners off it, and that would be really nice. And I was going to place it above, but I decided it looks a little bit better on the cut of the wood and the stone. So there we go. A fireplace so far for all of the smoke to come out of the house. And now I'm going to go up the top. So like I was saying before, we need a way to put the fire on. And to do that, I've just put a tiny bit of, slopey wall in there, roof. And it sits there pretty structurally sound. It lets the fire glow and it lets the smoke out, so it works out pretty well. I put a portal in the hole because I wanted it to be like a Hobbit hole. They have their circle doors. Well, that's what that's for, if you're wondering. You don't have to have that if you don't want to. You could actually have it like that if you want to, and then like name the portal something and then turn it on and off again if you wanted to. That'd be pretty cool, but at the moment it's just, it's for aesthetics in some ways. It was a little bit of a struggle to get the wall on top of the door, so I had to put a wall on the side. I need this wall here anyway because it's going to clog the kind of smashed bit of stone we have on the side. And then later on the outside, I'm going to put some stone wall on top of that and attach it to the sides of the cliff. That way, you know, you can't see in, and it's all like, you know, it blends in with the rock in a way. And that's a little bit better. Then only the door and the portal show up, really. So here we go. I'm putting in the rest of the insides. You also need this wall as well to hang some things on, like your workshop upgrades. So it's nice to have a bit of walling in here as well. So there we go. Filling the rest of this in, putting a little bit of half wall in just to cover the top bit. You don't want it too high though, because it will go through the top of the stone otherwise, and then that will ruin your sneaky base. You gotta try and make it as sneaky as possible. And of course that includes the entrance. I gotta do some terraforming around the entrance now, just to cover it up and make it a little bit skinnier, a little bit less seen. And I'm going to flatten it out to have some grass along it, and then it will make it even more sneaky because the grass will help cover it. And that's the finished product with grass on top of it as well. You could do a little bit more if you want to, but this sat with me pretty well. And now I'm just going to clog up the top bit to make it look like stone was here. It actually sits in perfectly well because it attaches to the rock and the rest of the outside. So it actually works out really well that way. Just going to cover it up like that to make it look like it's part of the stone. Do a little bit more coming out as well to cover up the crack, but this is what I'm going with for now. Still pretty sneaky. You wouldn't really see it if you were running along the forest, and you know, the only thing that would probably be obvious is the smoke coming out the chimney. But if you want to go offline or something and cover that up, you could only like put a minimal amount of wood in there so it burns out when you're offline. Or like I'm going to do later, I'm going to put pine trees near it, and I'm going to try and use that as cover so the smoke goes into the trees and it's not really seen. So there we go. So our little fireplace is nice and warm. We've got an inside, and now it's time to put down some things that make this place an actual home instead of just a hole. Like cooking your meat racks. You got to place lots of meat racks along, but I'm just doing a couple. You know, just one there and a cauldron. That'll do for me for now. You could, of course, like I said, put more in, but I'm not going to do that. And then we're going to place some more things in, like a bed. You can actually, funny enough, with the full thing finished, you can fit the big bed, a throne and all sorts in there. So if you wanted to up your comfort level, you could, and I fully tested it. And if you wanted more chests as well, you could also hang them off the walls and make it like that. There's plenty of space for absolutely everything in this base, surprisingly, which makes me think how your base doesn't need to be really big to fit all the stations in it, which is actually really nice. Just have to think about space and stuff. So I've got some chairs down. That stool I'm going to get rid of later. I'm going to put a table down by the workshop because that stool is not going to count towards our, our comfort level. It's actually going to lower it, so that's not good. And then we're going to put in the workshop. I'm going to try and squeeze in some of the workshop items as well, as much as possible. It was a little bit difficult finding space for all the things in here when I was initially putting it down, because some of the upgrades for the workshop is a little bit painful to place, such as the grinding wheel and the blow thing. That blow thing was going on the forge immediately, to be honest. The first thing I was putting down because it's so difficult to put in, and it likes to be screwy. So actually it was quite a relief that it fit nicely in the corner on its own. And some other things I had to put a little bit further out. A bit of a pain in the arse, but that's fine. We'll work it out. So like you can see with the grind wheel, I was having a bit of trouble placing it where I really wanted to, and in the end it kind of had to go in the middle of the area, even though there was like appropriate spots for it to sit, which was really bizarre, but you know what, that's fine. But yeah, as long as there's a little bit of space to move around and I can reach the station, it works out, you know, and that's all that matters. Even the little cooling barrel had to go a little bit further out as well. And then here comes the cursed grindstone again. So you see, like, all this space, it looks like it's perfectly fine for this, right? But it's not, and it's just so frustrating. I even tried to make a little shelf for it, and it wouldn't fit on there, but a big chest would. So, you know, I think some of those need, like, a little bit of collision fixing, but that's fine. So I was giving up. I was like, you know what? It's going to go in the middle. Whatever. And there it goes. That's the most appropriate spacing I could find for that kind of thing eventually, and that's fine. I'm also going to put this bit of wall in here so I can fit the tool rack on it, because on the other bit of wall it doesn't go over there quite well. It's a custom fit, it's not actually snapped, but it still works out fine because it doesn't break. And then I'm just going to flip it around and pop it on. And there we go. There's a full kind of forge upgrade there, which works out really well actually. If you wanted like a stone bench, you'd have to place it down for the little tiles in there on the first time, and then pick it back up again. You could probably fit the stone cutter's bench in here, but I don't think it's necessary to have it really either in this design. So there we go, we got all kind of things we need in a proper base. Even a fermenter barrel will actually fit in, and we're going to put in some carpets and rugs as well, so you get that comfort level going up as well. While we're here, we might as well, you know. It'll be good for the build. And then there we go, some nice decorations put down. I was thinking right now I need some more chest space as well. Put some chests in here, and the perfect spot for that is near the bed, where there is plenty of room to put a couple of chests in here as well. You could even put some more above the bed or above the crafting stations as well. There's plenty of room for more chests. I'm only putting in a few right now, instead of clogging it up, you know. But that works out for now. And let's take a look at the build as a whole. Now we've finished it. Oh yeah, but before that I was saying I was going to put some trees in. So let's put in some fir trees. I want fir trees because they have like a bigger, greener bush on them, which will cover up a little bit better than the longer ones. So I'm just placing some of these in here, and they will grow and then help cover the smoke. Anyway, let's have a look at the base as a whole. Anyways, I hope you like my Hobbit hole build. Thank you for watching, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!